Hello friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are going to take a little garden tour of this fantastic, gorgeous bank behind me. I will say too, we are hitting about noon in the afternoon. Jenny's got her sunglasses, so I'm not trying to be rude, but I am going to put my sunglasses on because it's good for your eyes. So, give you ideas, background on this flower bed. This is a pretty steep bank between the retail greenhouse and the barn. We installed this flower bed, gosh, this is its 4th year, I want to say, that we have had it planted, and it was quite a problematic area because it is so steep. We didn't have anything planted on here, so you know what that means. We had lots of weeds, God's grass, right, grown on here, and it was very unsightly. And when our customers come, you can see that we have our parking signs here. So they were pulling up and looking at a bank of weeds. Well, that is not inspirational whatsoever. Jerry and I installed this bed. It was about this time of year. It was probably not the most ideal time to plant it, but things were slow, we had time, and we did it. It has done fantastic, and it is an eye catcher. It is an inspiration piece because it solves a host of problems. It is on a bank. It gets lots and lots of morning, midday sun, and then it is in the shade. It is not on irrigation, so in the summertime it tends to be more dry, but there are natural springs and we get water that comes off the hill in the wintertime. So in the winter it's quite wet. Remember, we have a French drain running at the base of this flower bed that goes all around the barn and the greenhouse because it is so wet in the winter. If we didn't have this French drain, like, it would be really hard to park right here. So we've got dry, we've got wet, we've got a little bit of everything. We planted this bed to have really, of course, the most interest in the summertime because that's the height of the growing season. So we're just going to walk through this bed. There is a handful of shrubs that we use, and we just repeat them all the way down through the bank. So that is an idea. If you've got a big space, pick maybe 5 plants that you really love and just use that same plant in a pattern for the whole length of that bed. It makes a huge impact from a distance. So one of the first things you're going to notice, of course, are the Supertunia Vista bubblegums. If you remember back to the video, I showed you where we took hanging baskets and I took it out of the hanging basket and planted it directly in the ground. We do this every year. I think a couple of years we haven't done the bubblegums, but I just am a sucker for the bubblegums because they are the most vigorous and they are huge, massive impact. So this is the one annual that is in this flower bed. Next, we have the Kaleidoscope Abelia, and kaleidoscopes are an evergreen, so that is wonderful. Kaleidoscope has multiple colors on it, and it will change throughout the growing season. So this is kind of the chameleon of a plant, where as the season changes, so does the color. You can tell that it's wider than it is tall, and I don't know if Jerry can get in here. I see a little friend. Do you see that big, huge praying mantis right there? We love that little guy because he is going to eat any kind of bad, harmful insects that may be chewing on my plant. But abelias are typically wider than they are tall, and this is the time of year where the little blooms begin to pop out. Going into the end of summer, into fall, lots of blooms on it. Pollinators go nuts. So Kaleidoscope Abelia. Next, we have Vintage Jade Distillium. Vintage Jade Distillium is going to be an evergreen. Again, it is wider than it is tall. Gorgeous, glossy, green leaves. I have never pruned these Distilliums because with this bed, I want that full coverage. I want it to be nice and big. It will kind of have a little bit, I don't want to say weeping, but you understand what I'm saying, right? So it's that wide, low, kind of open habit to it. Distilliums will, in late winter really late winter, they will put little burgundy blooms directly on the stem, but it's not something that you see from a big distance. It's something you would have to get up close. But again, in the wintertime, this gives me wonderful structure. Between the Distillium and the Abelias, I've got a nice green presence year round. Beautiful, low maintenance. Nothing in this bed do the Japanese beetles like. Praise the Lord. So you can see like this Abelia, look how healthy and happy this baby is. It is quite, and I say large, right? For an Abelia, this is a good size, healthy plant. Just really bulks up, and I love it. Now the hydrangeas. Where you notice the petunias, you also notice the hydrangeas. These are little limes. Little limes, of course, are panicle hydrangeas. That means you know they're panicles because they have that kind of upside down ice cream cone look to them as far as their blooms. Panicles love the sun, so nice. You need a minimum of, I would say, 5 to 6 hours of direct sunlight. They bloom on new growth every year. And so in late winter going into spring, we prune this. Let me show you how much they grow because I think this is really important. The cut from the spring is here. So this whole thing is new. See if I don't know if we can get in there. There's the cut right there. And we have at least, I would say, 2 feet, if not closer to 3 feet of new growth. So they love to be pruned. You only want to prune them though back by 1/3 of the total size. Because if you do any more than that 1/3, then your blooms will get very floppy. Even though they've got nice big blooms on them, will get rain, they're not gonna splay open and be on the ground. That's because down in there, my stems are really, really strong. So no more than 1/3 of your total hydrangea size. Next, the big, the beautiful, this is Grand Cascade Budlia, butterfly bush. Hummingbirds are tweaking above me because they're probably mad that I'm over here. Grand Cascade, and this is not living up to its fullest potential because of the tree line. If this were to get sun on all sides of it, it would be huge. Grand Cascade, given its name, is more of a weeping habit of a butterfly bush. It is a beautiful, nice, soft, lilac purple color, beautiful, huge blooms on it. Pollinators go nuts over it. Every, summer, you have lots of not only butterflies, but honeybees and bumblebees and pollinators of all size. And it's still going strong in late summer when we have a lot of monarchs. So the monarchs for us that we see at the nursery tend to be later in the season, and they love this Grand Cascade. So we have that, all of these plants going down through this area. And then there is one more. They look a little bit better over here. So come down here and let me show you. One of the other shrubs that we have in here, the evergreen shrub, are these fantastic sunshine ligustrums. We love sunshine ligustrums because they have this beautiful yellow chartreuse color to them. They are an evergreen. They have a soft texture. You would think that they would be deciduous. They're not, and they just do wonderful. This is definitely a full sun plant. If you get more shade, it'll just turn green, which is fine, but that's why they're called sunshine ligustrums, is because just that really bright pop of color. And up here, it just looks fantastic from the sunshine ligustrum, little lime, your Grand Cascade. All of this goes together. So we have got a beautiful mix in this bed of evergreens, deciduous, the annuals in here, different types as far as like interest in the season, different habits, upright weeping, more upright, low, wide. So you're going for that mix. And then the other plants that we do have in here, it's taken them a little while to get going. I think it's because, well, I don't know why it is, but these are quick fire hydrangeas. So quick fires are, this is the big daddy, right? Another panicle, but you can tell that they have a much different bloom on them than say a limelight or that little lime. They will turn that beautiful mauvey rose color for us. They will get nice and huge. And this one is showing that habit as far as getting like nice and big. So I'm 5'2"-ish, and it's about as tall as I am. This is the biggest one, but then the other two you will see are smaller. Again, it's not on irrigation. To say that this bed is quote neglected is is an understatement, because we never water it. We do try, obviously we do prune, and then in the late winter, we do try to fertilize. We're not always the best about it. So this whole fantastic flower bed is just extremely low maintenance, but gorgeous color, lots of interest. Of course, the more you cut on your butterfly bushes and your hydrangeas, because they bloom on new growth, you're gonna get more flowers on them. So this is a really just a fun bed, lots of interest. People love it, we love it because it's so easy to take care of. But it just gives you big, bold colors for not only the growing season in the summer, but also has interest in the fall. So, hope you have found this fun, interesting, and informative. As always, thanks so much for gardening with Creekside. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you in the next video.